Sweet team, here we are with Jono Luke, or Jono Roberts, known as Jono Luke on Instagram. And if you follow his Instagram, there's some pretty interesting selfies you've got on there. So I'd say you're a bow hunter and a fisherman and a bit of an outdoorsman. But some of the selfies include baby goats, piglets, echidnas, emus, spiders, snakes, eagles, and a lot more snakes. So, dude, it's pretty hefty. Some of the photos you get. And I think they're hilarious, actually.
Cheers, mate.
No, are they all completely wild? Like that eagle you had a few weeks ago, is that a wild animal?
Yeah, it's wild. It was injured. It had a slight fracture in one of its wings, but yeah, definitely wild.
Dude, so insane.
Yeah.
And then, so I mean, like, I really want to dive into the whole snake thing and some of the animals you get to, I guess, interact with daily, but and I mean possibly keep as well, because I've seen them in your stories and stuff. And actually, I should mention, like, obviously people have their story on Instagram. They've got their newsfeed on Instagram. But I don't have a lot of time to jump on social. So I'll jump on and I'll have a quick look. And I kind of just look out for a few stories that I really like to watch. I really enjoy to watch. And yours is always one I'm like, fuck, I hope Jono's got something up there. Because it's just always entertaining.
Thanks, mate.
But for you, like, you are a bit of an outdoorsman. So why do you hunt yourself?
I guess I just really enjoy it, mate. I wouldn't say I really grew up too much with the hunting. I did a lot of fishing growing up, and a lot of, I guess, with the reptiles and other animals. But the bow hunting sort of didn't really come around till I was sort of early teens.
Yeah.
14, 15, I think I started shooting my first rabbits and foxes and things like that. Yeah.
That's cool. And what got you into it?
The old man.
Yeah.
He was right into his rifles growing up. He'd shoot foxes for the skins to make a living, and rabbits and stuff for food. And he was never really a bow hunter. He got us into archery around 10, and it sort of all stemmed from there. Yeah.
So were you just kind of a kid running around out in the block just trying to find whatever you could then?
Yeah, exactly right, mate. Yeah, walking home from school, see a lizard, pick it up, take it home, show mum. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. And so how old were you when you took your first animal then, with a bow?
Yeah, about 13, 14, something like that.
Yeah, and what was it?
A little rabbit, actually. Yeah. Didn't eat it. Took it home to show the dad, and he's gunned it for me and done everything else. And it did not look like it was too healthy, so we let that one
slide.
Live the rest of its life in the bin. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. And so, if you had the choice of only being able to hunt one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh, I'm going to say goats, mate. To be honest.
Yeah.
I just love them. Any opportunity I've got, I definitely go and chase after them buggers.
Yeah, and I mean, something that we haven't really talked about, that I haven't really talked about on the podcast much, is goats as of yet. But I mean, it's something that I'm really, really intrigued by. I'd love to go out and get some. I was just telling you before that I've got a hunt in July out at a little property in Queensland called Jackal's Hide, which is a little paid property, but I'm still so stoked to get out there. The hunting pressure, because it's a paid property, is pretty high. Do you hunt goats on highly hunted properties at all?
No, I don't. I'm actually the only hunter on the three main goat properties that I hunt on. Yeah. There's one other bloke that gets on there with a rifle, but he's only targeting a few roos and stuff like that. But no one else targets the goats, so they're pretty quiet.
Mm-hmm. And so, what do you find, like, with goats? What's the tips that you've kind of found around goats? What are your go-tos to go looking for them, I guess, to start with?
Water, especially in the heat. You'll always find them around water. I guess on most of the properties that I hunt on, I've basically got an irrigation channel that runs about 100 meters from the edge of the bush. It's a little bit different to most other places that I've seen. They have to travel all that distance out in the open. Yeah. So that they're pretty easy to spot. I basically just cut them off on the way back in, or try and risk an open stalk every now and then. Yeah.
And I have heard that they are pretty dumb creatures or critters. Is that true, or?
I wouldn't say dumb, but they're no fallow deer or anything like that. No.
So what? Just not as alert and aware.
Yeah, you can get away with a lot more.
Okay, yeah. So kind of, if you spook them, are they pretty forgiving?
Yes, definitely. Like for example, on Sunday afternoon, I went for a bit of a hunt, and I think I spooked the same mob about 4 times in a 20-minute span, and end up knocking 2 over in it. So
far out.
Yeah.
And so all the hunting you do now, is that all bow hunting?
Yeah, only bow hunting. Yeah.
Do you have a rifle license at all?
No, I don't. Never have.
No.
Yeah. No interest really.
Yeah. No, I think it's kind of once you've got it there. I don't know actually. Even if I had it, I don't think I'd actually pick up the rifle that much because the challenge of bow hunting is just so much more.
Yeah, I guess me growing up trying to get hands on everything and getting close and trying to have a really really close look at things. It's a lot. I guess more my style with the bow, getting in there nice and tight.
And so with the goats, are you hunting for meat or are you hunting for like the big billies or a bit of both?
Definitely both.
Yeah.
Definitely both. Yeah, I'm smack bang in the center.
Okay. And so with the big billy, they obviously, so I've been told that they smell pretty bad.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you still eat the billies?
No, mate. Definitely
it goes
not.
the whole way through, like the stench is just that bad through the whole meat.
Yeah, and cutting them up sort of puts you off. You've got that smell sort of hitting you in the face like a trolley.
Yeah. It's just way too much.
Yeah, but definitely when the freezer's getting low, I'll go out specifically to target a young nanny or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was Sunday. I took out 2 young nannies in the mob and carried them back to the ute.
And what's the go-to with the goats for like your favourite goat meal?
The missus definitely whacks up a good curry.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's good, yeah. Oh, I've got a little jerky maker here too. I throw a heap in that each time.
Just like a little food dryer?
Yeah. Little dehydrator, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And how's the jerky turn out? It's pretty right?
When I use a kit, it's all right, but when I try and wing it, like the rest of my life, it's pretty plain.
Doesn't quite get a plan.
No.
And how about the kids? Do they enjoy it?
What was that, sorry?
Do the kids enjoy it?
I don't actually have any kids, mate.
Oh, I thought you said you had... so you just got one on the way?
Just got one on the way on Friday, yeah.
Yeah, far out, dude. That's crazy. Well, congratulations.
2 days from now. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, it's I'm glad you could fit it in. Yell out if the water breaks. They usually come late for the first one anyway, I think. Is typical.
Yeah, she wants to get it out before Mother's Day. I think that's Sunday, so...
What, so she can celebrate her first Mother's Day?
Exactly right, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So, I mean, you've kind of always been outdoors. Was that all from your dad pretty much? Like you said he was a rifle hunter, but was he kind of the influence to get you outside a lot more?
Yeah, he was definitely the main influence. My mum's father, he was a rabbit trapper. He was right into the bush as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Mum done most of the working growing up, so Dad could spend a lot more time taking us to sport.
Yeah, okay.
And all the rest of it. So he was a stay-at-home dad, and he got me really involved with everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so with sport, what did you play growing up?
A little bit of everything, to be honest. A lot of athletics, footy, both union and league, soccer, tennis, squash, golf.
Mm-hmm. And you still keep up the fitness apart from hunting? You still go and do a bit of gym work?
Yeah, I do a bit of gym work. Recently, sort of coming back from an injury at the moment. Dislocated a few joints inside my wrist about 12 months ago.
Wow.
So yeah, can't do a push-up or anything like that on it at the moment, but a lot of the cardio is still there, which is good.
Yeah, definitely. I think like so many people will use that as an excuse. Like I'm in the health and fitness realm, and so many people get an injury and they're like, "Oh fuck it, I'll just get fat." Like it's just such a quick turn off. They're like any excuse they can get.
Yeah, exactly right, mate. No, it's not here.
That's good, man. It's good.
I love it.
I think, to be honest, like my goals have changed a lot in perspective, I guess, recently. And the big thing that I'm kind of working towards right now is bow hunting and being successful with in particular the red deer up here. So it's kind of like my whole aspect around my fitness has kind of transitioned to working towards fitness for bow hunting a bit more.
Yep.
And so it's like, to be honest, my training program hasn't changed that much because I was already a pretty fit individual, but it makes you definitely, like, I definitely understand what is probably the better I guess, protocols when it comes to gym for training for the outdoors? I mean, obviously you've got like your different metabolic pathways you have to work towards, but like a lot of pulling for obviously being able to pull your bow back. And how have you found with your wrist injury being able to pull your bow back? Has it been an issue?
For the first few months, it was. I ended up just whacking basically a whole roll of elastoplast tape on there, so it kept it pretty rigid.
Yeah.
Probably didn't help my form at all, having a stiff wrist, but I got there in the end. I'm shooting 80 pounds, so that made it quite hard as well. I ended up when the injury first came around, I had a mate, Shane, with Bowhunters Domain Arrows. He sent me a left-handed bow to try out, and I was shooting that for a few weeks, and one day just decided to give the right-handed bow another go, and it came back slowly, but I got there, so I sent his bow back and stuck with the right-handed fella.
Yeah. How did you find the lefty?
No good, mate. No, definitely not.
Just didn't happen. And so how much are you practicing compared to hunting?
Pretty much every day. I'll at least shoot about 20 hours every afternoon after work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then hit the gym a little bit and jog home.
So you got a little session, like a little setup at home where you've got the ability to be able to shoot how far?
35 meters from corner to corner.
Yeah, perfect.
Not too bad.
Sorry, I just lost you there. So 35 meters corner to corner. Yeah, got you back.
Yep.
Yeah, it's handy having something like that at home. I've been talking to a few people here in the city recently, and they were saying that their abilities are like the garage. It's like the length of the garage is kind of there. All they've got, and it's understandable for some of the units and townhouses and bits and pieces that we have here. I'm quite fortunate I've got a house, so I'm able to shoot up to 40 meters, which is pretty, makes it pretty fun. But the previous guest, James Doomstis, it was very interesting to me when we were out and about in the field. He didn't have a rangefinder at all, and he said, "I've never found I never thought there was a reason for having it because I always wanted to be so close." And it was like a big aha moment. He's like, well, I've only ever had my pin set to 20 meters. Like, why would I need anything outside of that? And I was like, oh, fuck. I was aiming for like 30 meters to get close enough to the deer. Now I've got to try and get closer. It's just like that little bit of extra, I guess, effort. But at the same time, it makes a lot of sense to me if you do want to be like as ethical as possible and make the best kills, like you do want to be as close as possible.
Yep.
How close are you getting on the goats when you're shooting mostly?
I'd say about 15 meters mostly. Yeah, I don't have a rangefinder either. I had one, end up losing it, I think, on the first hunt.
Oh, no.
A mate sent it to me and, lost it straight away. So, I like to get in a lot closer as well. Yeah.
No, it makes a lot of sense. And obviously, we're doing bow hunting for the reason that you do have to get close. So
exactly right. Yeah.
Some of the shots that you see, or some of the shots I saw on, like, for instance, just during the raw, like some people taking 50-meter shots and above, and it just seems crazy to me. And obviously they're practicing at those distances, but it's with that little bit of extra pressure and that animal, I guess that extra adrenaline you get when you've got an animal right there in front of you. It's just crazy what can go wrong at that 50 meters, I guess.
Yeah. I don't even think I could hit a wool bale at 50 meters, let alone a deer. We'll leave that one to them fellas.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, for you, man, like the stuff that probably draws me in most about you is how much you play with the snakes and how much you're kind of taming snakes and seeing the wild crew. And do you actually run a snake program at all? Like, do you go and collect snakes as well?
I don't run a program. I volunteer for Wires and do a little bit of sort of private relocation in town. But yeah, most of the snakes that you guys see on Instagram, they're just while I'm out hunting.
Yeah. So
snakes pick it up.
And so, I mean, obviously, I think snakes are probably a bit misunderstood, and potentially people tend to stir them probably in the wrong way, and they're protective, obviously, of their area and their environment. And it's probably the cases of people getting bitten are probably when they're trying to attack the snake because it's in their place to some extent.
Exactly right. Yeah.
So someone being an idiot towards the snake, and that's when they get bitten by the snake because the snake's on a defensive. And to be honest, a lot of the time, I actually bought I think they're called gaiters, those leg protectors. And I bought it for the sole purpose that I was like, I'm going to make sure that I don't get bitten by a snake. And within probably the first 2 times I wore it, I'm like, snake's not going to come and fucking bite me. So I took them off. And to be honest, like ever since then, I don't really have that big a fear of snakes. If I see a snake, I just leave it be and walk the other way, and it's fine. Like I haven't had any issues with them. I see a lot of snake skins. I don't see a heap of snakes, but it's just kind of, it kind of seems just like a bit of common sense to me. But I mean, here in Australia, we're known for the deadly snakes that we have. And I mean, I've seen you with plenty of photos of the snakes, of the deadly ones as well, the deadliest ones. So I did a little Google search before on the top 10 most venomous snakes here in Australia. And this could just be actually a Google fuck up because I think they're missing something. But an eastern brown, the western brown, the mainland tiger, the inland taipan, the coastal taipan, the mulga snake, and then
that's a king brown.
Okay, lowlands copperhead, the small-eyed snake, common death adder, and then the red-bellied black snake. Have you encountered all of these?
I think I've probably got majority of them in this room, mate. To be honest. I've pretty much handled. Yeah, probably all of those.
Yeah, and so I mean, with you having them in the room, what are you doing with them? Like, do you keep them as pets? Do you?
Yeah, just pets, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't really do much, but I just like looking at them.
yeah, fair enough. And so, where does the fascination come from snakes?
Yeah, definitely the old man again. Yeah. Him growing up as well. He used to tell me stories of him just sort of walking to school, see a snake, pick it up, play with it, let it go again, take it home, and basically the old man. All the bush stuff come from him.
Yeah, that's unreal. Actually, I was at a party on the weekend out at Gympie, and there was a big bush, like a big bonfire that had going, and there was a little baby carpet snake just walking around on the lantana, like crawling around on the lantana. And poor little fella was getting pretty close to the fire, and one of the boys is trying to get it off with a snake or with a stick. My dad just comes in, just like grabs it and just walks off with it and puts it underneath the house. He's like, it'll be fine. But everyone's like, wow, why would you do that? Like, you're crazy. And like, it is just a carpet snake, I guess, after all. But Dad's a vet, so he's had a lot of experience with a few different snakes.
Right.
However, someone like yourself who's playing with taipans and browns and bits and pieces, tigers, like, where did that first come from? Like you said, your dad, and did he kind of pass it on to you? Like, hey, this is how you work with snakes?
Probably the complete opposite, mate. I think he basically only picked them up as from the time that we were born, just to get rid of them, to get them away from the house or the farm or whatever. And I'm pretty sure every time he done it, he said, "Do not ever do this." But then it just became an adrenaline rush, I guess.
Yeah.
I see something that other people don't, so just roll with it.
Yeah, and so like the first time getting up close and personal with a snake, did you kind of spend a lot of time with them, or was it just you went in for it and just tried to grab them?
The first venomous snake I caught would have been, I think I was about 9 years old. I caught an eastern brown. The old man took us up. We owned a block of land on the outskirts of town and had a few sheds and things like that on it, and we wanted to go for a bit of a yabby on there. So he sent me up to the shed to grab the yabby nets, and I sort of seen the telecom rope hanging out from underneath a couple of sheets of tin, and as everyone knows, snakes love hanging out underneath bits of tin. I flipped this bit of tin over, and there was a few snakes tangled up in the yabby nets, caught in there. One of them wasn't alive, so I've grabbed the other one, pulled him out, and I've basically dropped it within about 5 seconds. It's taken off. Panicked a little bit, ran back, got the old man, and he's come and released the other one. So I think I had a few minutes looking at it while he had hold of it before he let it go.
Dude, that's crazy. And so I mean, something like an eastern brown, if they bite you, what is the ramifications? Is that death?
If you don't get it looked at, I think there's only 1 or 2 deaths from an eastern brown each year, so it's not like a huge number of people are dying from them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, have you ever been bitten?
Yeah. First brown snake bite was when I was 17 years old, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going for my first sleepover with the missus, and got tagged while I was playing with it in the kitchen, and didn't end up going, obviously.
Far out.
So spent a few nights in Orange Hospital.
Yeah. And so what was the protocol for them, for you?
Basically, straight away, chucked a bandage on it. The old man's taken me straight to the local hospital. They didn't have the right equipment there or something along those lines, so they've rushed me straight to Orange. Luckily, it wasn't. I didn't have a really bad reaction, so it wasn't super critical that I get there super quick.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, the quicker you get there, the better. Spent a few nights there just on a drip and making sure my heart wasn't going to stop or anything like that, and come through, went home again.
Yeah, so insane. It wasn't enough to scare you off of them, obviously.
No, definitely not. No.
So, of all of the snakes here that we have in Australia, or the ones that you've been able to handle, which are your favourites?
I'd go the spotted black or blue-bellied black.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you probably would have seen a few of those on the story. That's the main one I've got. I've actually got the pet one right beside me here. Actually. Yeah.
Do you have them all in tanks, or are they in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all in enclosures. Yeah.
And so you got like the proper lighting and everything for the heat and stuff.
Yep. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
And so, what are you feeding them? Just mice?
Yeah, mice and rats, depending on the size. So I've got a few little hatchling coastal taipans here. So they're obviously tiny, feeding on pinky mice. Then I've got all the way up to a 3-meter olive python, which will eat sort of rabbits and stuff like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I heard this story once of someone who had a pet snake, and she used to let it just roam around in her house. And it started coming up onto the bed next to her, and she was so stoked by it. She's like, "Oh, my pet snake's so cute! Like it's coming up and cuddling next to me." And what it used to do is it would come up and it'd go out straight, like completely stiff next to her, and then it would curl off and go underneath the pillow or something. And then she went to the vets one day and was explaining how her pet snake's been sleeping with her and how exciting it is. And he's like, "Oh no, your snake's actually measuring you up. Like each time when it comes out completely straight, it's measuring you up to see if it can eat you yet or not." So it's obviously they've got their own, I guess, intuition or their own innate being. Is there anything that, like, do you have to kind of retame it each time when you go in to see the snakes?
No, I wouldn't say retame it. With some of these venomous snakes that I've got, you don't just stick your hand in the enclosure and pull them out. You got to let them know you're there first so they don't get too defensive. But yeah, I guess if you keep on to them a couple of times a week, handling them, they're pretty fine each time you enter the room.
Yeah. And so, like in the wild, say for instance, and I mean, we should probably put a disclaimer on it saying, "Hey, don't go play with snakes unless you're well tamed, well trained with it." But say for instance, you do get into a close encounter with one of these venomous snakes. What is the best thing to do?
Depends on how close you are, mate. If you're within the snake's striking distance, your best bet is to stand still. If you're like a meter or so away from it, you can always just turn around and walk, or maybe not turn around, but walk backwards until you get a safe distance and either admire it from there or high leg it the other way.
Yeah, definitely.
But don't go poking them.
It's a good way to piss them off. And so, I mean, some of the videos you've put up is literally like the snake coming for you. Like it's like having little shots at you. Once they get into that kind of S bend, it's obviously they're ready to attack position.
The defensive posture, yeah.
And so, like, you're obviously out and you're playing with them a fair bit, but sometimes it's like a pretty close miss, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And so you're obviously just trying to learn to read the snake to some extent?
Yeah, same as any animal, I guess. The body language is something you really have to keep an eye on. Yeah, you can sort of tell when they don't really want to be poked, and then other times when they're not too phased.
Gee, that's insane.
I'll teach you one day, mate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other thing is I did see that you've been teaching a few people, like playing with them and having a little muck around with them, I guess, out in the yard. And where do you kind of start? Like if someone was interested in potentially, I guess, becoming some form of snake handler, like where do you start with it? What do you start to do?
I always teach them first aid first. Obviously, I personally wouldn't go out in the bush without a pressure bandage.
Yeah.
Or a phone or something like that I can sort of contact someone and come and pick me up if something did go wrong.
Because the best thing if you get bit by a snake is to sit still, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly right. So when a snake bites you, it'll inject its venom into your lymphatic system, not into your bloodstream.
Yeah.
So each time you flex a muscle, it basically pushes the venom further and further up your body towards your heart and stuff like that. So the pressor bandage is there to basically remind you to stop, don't move it.
Yeah.
Just relax. It'll all be good.
Yeah, it's probably a pretty tough thing to do for some people in that stage, but I mean, it's
exactly
obviously
right,
like even in the first aid course I do, I remember they teach you how to pick someone up without them having to flex any muscles. Like they have to be a completely dead body, and you have to be able to move them without kind of activating any muscles. So it's pretty rough. Yep. It's pretty easy to activate a muscle if you think about it, like the twitch of a finger or the layback of the body. Like that's all muscle activation. So it's a pretty tough thing to do.
Exactly right, mate. It's not easy.
Yeah. And so where do you take them from there after you've done some first aid?
I'll just teach them about the specific snake that we're dealing with, and because most species, they all have different temperaments, different, I guess, levels of defensiveness. They will go from there, and I'll get that specific snake out and show them what their body language does, when to do something, when not to do something, when to walk away. Like basically, just run them through the entire snake before I even let them go anywhere near it.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to teach someone, I usually try and teach them with a snake hook or a bag or something like that, just for extra safety precautions.
Yeah, definitely. And so a lot of the stuff, like a lot of the time when you're dealing with your snakes, you're not using a snake hook, are you?
No, I don't actually own a snake hook. I've got a bag somewhere.
Okay. So how do you get them to do it? You just tell them to go buy one?
Yeah, I had one several months ago, and it was just a little extendable one, like a little telescopic thing.
Yeah.
I took it to teach a mate of mine, Elliot Wu, and ended up leaving it there with him. He showed a keen interest on him, so I think he's thrown that in his ute. So
yeah.
I don't think his wife likes it very much, but
dude, I'm just fascinated by the patterns on some of the carpet snakes. Like, I mean, even all of the snakes really are pretty interesting and pretty fascinating, but I think it's something that I don't mind getting too close to, is the carpet snakes, because obviously they're not as aggressive. And at the property I go to, there's actually one that's hanging out in the chicken coop at the moment. So it's hanging out just in like the kind of the steel rodding that's up above, and it just comes out every once in a while and will go down. At the moment it's just eating mice and crickets and bits and pieces, but my honey's like, it's only welcome until it starts to eat my chicken eggs, and then it has to go.
Yeah, they're definitely there for, depending on the size, it could take a chicken. I've caught carpets that have had a gut full of chicken. But yeah, most birds are messy eaters, so whatever you're feeding them, they're not going to eat it all, or they throw it around and it attracts the rodents, and in turn attracts the snakes. Yeah,
definitely. And so, I mean, with those snakes, like there's the different carpet snakes that we have here in Australia, but what are some of the prettiest ones that you think you've kind of come across with the pattern wise?
Probably the diamond python would be my favourite.
Is that the yellow and white one?
You can get yellow and white, but they're mainly yellow and black.
Okay.
You can get a lot of really high fluorescent yellow ones around sort of Sydney area, up in the mountains around there, and they're bloody beautiful, mate.
Yeah.
I think the carpet that you've got up around your place was a coastal carpet from memory.
Yeah.
I think I've seen it on your Instagram.
Oh yeah, that one that I tagged you in. So with that one, with the one that I saw on the weekend, actually, it was like a lighter brown. And it had like almost like a zigzag pattern on it, but it was also smaller. Would have it been the same type and just not just pattern?
I'd say so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No two snakes have the same pattern.
No. Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, some of the snakes that you have, like, I guess the biggest one that we have is that actually the King Browns.
No, that'd be our thickest elapid, so most venomous in the venomous snakes. Biggest python, I can't remember if it's the olive or the scrub python. Both get up around the 5-6 meters.
Yeah, wow.
The King Brown, we don't have too many of them down here. I've handled a few captive bred ones. Some of the Northern Territory mulgars, they're bloody beautiful. They're starting to I guess, be harder and harder to find due to the cane toads.
Yeah.
So they'll try and eat a cane toad and end up carking it.
Right.
Yeah, the king brown's actually a black snake, if you didn't know that.
Oh, wow. But
there you go.
The regular browns aren't?
Yeah, no, they're a brown, yeah.
Okay.
So there's several different species of brown as well. You've got western brown, ring brown, eastern brown, northern brown.
And are they all pretty close to being venomous as each other, or is it like definitely the eastern is the top?
Eastern's number 2 in the world.
Yeah, okay.
The rest, I'm pretty sure the rest are all in the top 20.
What's number 1?
Number 1 is inland taipan.
Yeah, I thought so. And that's what you've got you've got one of them, don't you?
Yeah, I've got one of those.
Yeah. I thought I saw a video of one or a picture of something. One. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's hefty. So that was one that was bred from captivity?
Yeah, that was a captive bred one, yeah. You can't legally, in New South Wales anyway, catch a wild snake and keep it.
Oh, okay.
You're not even allowed to pick one up and take it off the road without the proper permits and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
My uncle actually tells a really cool story of he was out doing some chainsawing once. He lives up in Springshaw, which is kind of the centre of Queensland, essentially, like up north, about 4 hours west of Rocky. And he was up just doing some chainsawing, knocking down some trees one day, and just felt like a thud against his leg, just kind of boom, boom. He looked down and there's a big king brown just going through his legs, just kind of. And he had his chainsaw in his hand. He's like, it didn't do anything to me. I'm not going to do anything to it. I'll just leave it keep going. So he just stood incredibly still as the snake kind of went through, and it went into this log, just a hollowed out log just next to him. And he went away that day and came back, and there was a dead cow within the next day or two. And he's like, it was a damn snake. And he's a cattle farmer, so he's like, at that time, he's like, is that, for him, he's like, should have I killed it and got rid of the snake, and would have it saved my cattle or not? Like, it's kind of one of those things, right? And I guess the big thing in that case, and for people who are out west and probably don't have access to people like yourself to come and relocate them, like what do you do in that instance?
Mate, just walk the other way, really.
Yeah.
Like with that cow, you don't know that the cow could have been sick. It may not have even been bitten by that specific snake or a snake at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, your best bet to survive is just don't put your hand near the pointy end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And so, I mean, some of the smaller snakes, like some of those aggressive smaller snakes, are they going out and killing big critters at all, or are they literally just going for the small stuff that they can get their mouths around?
So a snake isn't going to attempt to kill anything that it can't fit in its mouth.
Even if it feels threatened? Like if something comes and steps on it, for instance?
Definitely. If it feels threatened, it's going to defend itself.
Yeah.
But with the smaller stuff, they still have the same toxicity of venom.
Mm-hmm.
They can still inject the venom. They can still choose not to inject the venom. I guess it really depends on how pissed off the snake is and how close you get to it.
Yeah.
But like a small little, like a little coastal taipan that I've got here, it's not going to go out of its way to go and bite a cow, obviously.
Yeah.
Same as people. Snakes, I've heard hundreds of stories of snakes chasing people. I was on my push bike and the snake was nipping at the back wheel. For once, like, snakes can't keep up with you while you're on a bike. I've even heard people on horses and the snake nipping at the horse's back feet. Yeah. But yeah, there's just absolutely no reason for them to chase after something that they can't fit in its mouth.
Yeah.
But it may look like they're chasing after you for the first few steps because you've just spooked it, and its first instinct is like, piss off, mate. Like, you're not going to eat me today. To it, you're a predator. You're 100 times its size. It just wants to get out of your way. Yeah,
definitely. It actually just made me think of, I think it's on Planet Earth too. Have you seen that at all?
I haven't.
So there's this scene, and it was going around Facebook for a while, and it's literally like it's like a lizard breeding ground, and these lizards hatch and they start to crawl, and they have to get over this hill and into the water, and between them and the water is just like bulk snakes, and so they have to just make a dash for it, and so they literally come out of their hatchings. They like kind of knock their eggs off, and then they just get running, and these snakes just like pile over each other trying to get to it. It's freaking crazy to watch, but obviously it's for food, so it's a little bit different. But is there any instances where a snake will kind of come out of its space to come try get you?
If it feels threatened, yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you what threatens a snake
No.
or for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, walking near it, cornering it, trying to poke it, try and pick it up, anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so for you,
Yeah.
like when you find a wild snake, for instance, how long are you spending time with it before you got it kind of before you're holding it and doing your thing?
Ah, yeah, shit. Depends on the snake again.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
snakes just happen to be super friendly. Like a few of the black snakes on my goat blocks, I can basically pick them up and free handle it straight away. Free handling means just allowing the snake to do whatever it wants on your
Yeah.
hand, not restraining the head or having any form of grip on the snake itself.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those guys, they're usually pretty placid. But the Eastern Browns and things like that, they're a lot more difficult. Yeah, you got to play with them a bit before they start calming down.
Yeah. And I think it was the blue is it blue-bellied black? Is that what they are?
Yeah, blue-bellied black or spotted black. It's
Spotted
the
blacks,
same
yeah.
snake, just two different names.
That's the one you've got a photo of with you holding it in your hand recently, like a real dark black.
That could be a red belly. I've got
Okay.
probably several photos like that on my Instagram.
So it's like it's curled up in your hand. Like how long does that take?
Yeah, maybe
Okay.
an hour or so, just mucking around with it. Yeah.
Yeah, you actually like I literally just opened up your page and scrolled down. There's like 3 or 4 of them, literally from the first the first page of it. So yeah, there's plenty of them there.
Yeah, a lot of that is basically the proven point, just being a smartass.
Yeah.
Like, hear a story, a tiger snake, they're the most aggressive snake in Australia. So I went and picked one up and took a photo of it just to say, look, they're not. Leave them alone. They're fine.
Yeah. And like I think it does go back to just people being silly with them. Like people obviously feel threatened by the snake, and the snake obviously feels threatened by the person. So it's kind of that misunderstanding or miscommunication between the two, and it's
exactly
just
right.
it's kind of like a bar fight, right? Like someone gets their knickers in a knot and then goes for someone else. It's kind of the aggression starts.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Oh, that's bizarre. What have we not talked about when it comes to snakes? I'm sure there's lots.
Too much, mate. There's too much.
Where, like for you, what do you do to study them? Are you only studying them out in the wild, or are you reading up on them? You're kind of watching videos and watching clips on them, or reading books on them?
Bit of everything. Obviously, growing up, most Australians would have obviously watched a few Steve Irwin videos.
Mm-hmm.
So he's an idol of mine, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, YouTube, TV shows, other reptile enthusiasts on Instagram. There's thousands of them.
Yeah.
Basically, like the bowhunting community, there's a small group of reptile lovers as well that all they do is go around catching and playing with snakes.
Yeah.
So, and they're all a wealth of knowledge as well. So.
Yeah, definitely. Do you kind of do you talk to them quite a lot?
A select few.
Yeah.
Most of them are a little bit different. I'd probably fall into that category as well, but no, they're all right. They're always willing to help. If anyone needs any information, just hit them up or hit myself up.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you're definitely pretty active and always return the comments, which is nice too on your stuff. So actually, this came to me when Steve Irwin died. Do you remember what you were doing? Do you remember that was a pretty impactful moment, I think, for Australia in general. But for anyone who's kind of a bit of an animal lover, I think it was kind of one of those moments you're like, oh fuck, like that's a bit upsetting. But do you remember where you were and what you were doing when you found out he died? Yeah,
I think I was in year 11 at school, mate.
What year are you? What year were you born?
91.
91, yeah.
So 28 at the moment, yeah. I think it was maybe lunchtime or something like that, and one of the teachers came out and obviously knew that I like snakes. I was actually building a snake enclosure in woodwork. So yeah, he's come out and let me know, and it was pretty disappointing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to meet him, so just I've only got the videos to look back on.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was funny you said that because I was grade 12, I think, so it must have been, obviously pretty similar in age. I'm 89 was when I was born. Yep. But yeah, I just remember we were walking, I think it was at lunchtime as well, we were walking through the schoolyard and all these kids were talking about it. I'm like, no, it's got to be a hoax, right? Like, it can't be right. And then got home and I found out. I was so upset. Just
Yeah,
remember.
it's still surreal now, mate. You'll see a bloody video of him on Facebook and nearly brings a tear to your eye.
Yeah, definitely. And it's so funny because they look back on, like, anytime they try to, I guess, depict an Aussie, they'll send a photo of him or Russell Coit. It's like,
Yeah, two complete opposites.
yeah, exactly.
Both
Like
icons,
one, yeah, one legend of one joker.
Yeah.
So, I mean, getting back to the bow hunting side of things,
Mhm.
for you, you're spending a fair bit of time out and about, right?
Yep.
What's your kind of go-to when you do go out and about? Like, are you trying to spend a lot of time just watching the animals, or are you trying to always kind of attack on the animals as such?
I'm definitely more of a proactive sort of hunter. I can't sit still, mate.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll see something, even if I'm not going to shoot it. I'll be trying to get in there super close, just bit more experience, bit of practice.
hmm
Even draw back when I'm at 10 or 15 meters and let down, just so I can prove to myself that I can
Could have
do it.
done it. Yeah.
But yeah, more of an aggressive hunter than most.
Yeah. And when it comes to stalking side of things, like, what are the big things you're looking for when you're trying to stalk in on an animal? When are you moving? What are the best things that you've kind of come across that work with animal to animal? And obviously, you talked about already watching the animal and kind of figuring out what its play is and how it reacts and how it responds. And so,
Yep.
how much of that are you taking into account as you're stalking in on the animal as well?
So body language, same as my snakes. It's the same as with the animals. Obviously, yourself, you know when an animal's alert, ears are pricked up, looking around, more edgy, flinchy movements. Yeah, basically the body language. You got to keep that in mind first, I believe, and obviously the wind and cover and things like that. But yeah, body language definitely number one for me.
Yeah.
I won't even attempt to stalk until I know that the animal's fully relaxed.
Yeah, okay. And with the goats, like, are their
Yeah.
noses just as good as the other animals? For instance, like a pig or a deer?
What was that? Sorry, you cut out a bit.
That's right. Are the goat's noses like as good as, say, a pig or a deer?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
So they rely on their eyes a little bit more?
Yeah, rely on their eyes. Obviously, if it smells you, it's gone.
Yeah.
But you can sort of get away with a lot more with them fellas.
Mm-hmm. So this is a bit of a random question, but you're probably out in your hunting clothes quite a lot. What do you wash your hunting clothes with? Because, I mean, we're obviously out, we're stenching our clothes up quite a lot. What can you do to kind of make sure that you're not, I guess, holding that stench to the clothes, but that you're not fragrancing them up with some pretty smell?
To be honest, mate, I actually just wash mine in with the work clothes.
Yeah.
Just with laundry
Regular
detergent
wash.
in it.
Yeah.
I haven't found a problem with it
Okay.
yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe with deer. I haven't had a whole lot of experience with deer and things like that. So maybe when it comes to those, I might start thinking about different forms of keeping them clean.
Yeah. It's it was actually James Doomsday that pointed it out to me. He's like, "Oh, don't put it in with your regular stuff." I'm like, "Why not? Like, it doesn't smell that fancy."
He'd know a fair bit more than me. So, and he does a lot more with the deer as well. So.
Yeah, so I've just been washing it through without it, but I noticed that that each time I wear my stuff again, it's getting a bit more of a stronger stench to it. It's kind of like gym gear when you wear it for too long; it starts to build up a smell. So I don't know. I think maybe you need to soak it for longer or something. So if any of the listeners have a tip around that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, let me know as well.
Yeah, definitely pass it on. It's good things. So when it comes to the goats, I mean, we kind of touched in on them before, but they're quite a herd animal.
Yeah, definitely.
And so is it often like when they're kind of about, which of the goats that are kind of the ones that are looking out? Is it going to be the billies or the nannies that are looking out more?
More so the nannies, especially in the rut. Obviously, if the billies have got their eyes set on one thing.
Yeah. When's
but
goat
that nanny?
rut?
Sorry.
When's the goat rut? Sorry, this is the first time I ever heard. I didn't know that there was a goat rut.
So they'll rut on my blocks. They'll rut a few times a year.
Mm-hmm.
It might be separate goats doing it at different times. It's usually when it's a lot warmer. So that's where that pissy smell comes from. The billies will piss all over their own face and the rest of their body to try and attract the nannies. But yeah, with
it's like the Australian football players.
Yeah, exactly right, mate. Exactly right. But yeah, the rut. I'd say a couple of times each summer.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And what are they doing during the rut? Like, apart from pissing on themselves, what are the things, like the characteristics that they're doing? Are they doing a lot more calls? Are they doing, like, I don't know, funny dances or anything like that in front of the nannies?
A lot more fighting.
Mm-hmm.
The billies. I'm not gonna try it now, but they have a really strange sounding sort of call. You'd have to be there to experience, really.
Yeah.
It's a very ugly sound.
Okay. Like their
Almost
scream,
like a
almost that they do.
like a screamy howl sort of thing.
Yep.
That they'll still do your normal goat noise.
Yep.
But yeah, they're definitely a lot more vocal.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And so they're obviously kind of protective of their area. Is there some billies that they'll let kind of come into their area and some that they won't? For instance, like a young billy compared to an old billy.
So with the goats, it's nothing like the fallow or the deer or anything like that. Yeah. So it'll be sometimes up to 20 billies trying to attack the one nanny.
Yeah.
So you'll see you'll be randomly walking around and you just see a heap of goats run past you, mate, and it'll just be a heap of billies. You get a big waft of their pissy smell, and they'll be trying to force themselves on this one nanny, and all she does is spends all her days trying to get away from them fellas, and they'll pin her into corners and under logs in caves, and they won't let her go. And while one fella's servicing her, another bloke will be knocking him off to have his turn, and
far out.
Yeah, it's pretty horrible to watch, but
yeah,
it's nature.
Nature is metal. Have you seen that site, that Instagram page?
Yeah, I have.
It's pretty brutal, some of the stuff that goes up there.
Yeah.
And so when they're not in their rut season as such, is there typically going to be a lot more nannies around the billies then?
Yeah, exactly right. They're all sort of mixed around, and yeah, I find them a little bit easier to hunt when they're not in the rut.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people that do like hunting them in the rut because they're more focused on the nanny, but I just tend to keep my eye on the billy and not worry about the nanny, and she's always picking me up and taking off. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so do they give an alert like the pigs or the deer will to the other group?
Yeah. They'll have like a sneezy noise almost.
Yeah. Okay.
So one of them will sound that off, and then the rest of them will sort of have a look, and once they pick something up, they'll start sneezing as well.
That's bizarre.
And alert the whole mob. Yeah.
And so you talked about during the hotter months, they're going to typically be going for water. How about during the colder months? Have you watched them much during that time?
Yeah, they don't drink as much.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of on my block, a lot of them will get their fluids from just the dew on the grass of a morning on the plant. So you barely ever. Obviously, it's not as dry where I am, closer to Sydney, than it is out west, sort of Cobar or Broken Hill or something like that. So there's a lot more green feed, and they'll get a lot of their moisture from that.
Yeah, okay. And so during the winter months then, or the cooler months in general, if they're not really going to their water stations as such, where are they kind of hanging out? Like, are they typically animals that will find the green, or they'll just kind of find whatever they can eat? Because they do typically eat a lot of different stuff, right? They'll eat the roots if they have to.
Yeah, mate, they'll eat clothes off your clothesline if you leave them in your backyard. But if they've got something, they've obviously got their preferences.
Yeah.
If they've got oats in one paddock, they're going to go and eat the oats and leave the burrs alone in the other one.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, I've got on one of the blocks that I hunt mainly, it's a lot of lucerne on one side of the mountain range.
Which is just like it's a, what do you call it? Like a legume, right? It's like a little...
Yeah, they make a lot of hay out of it and things like that.
Yeah.
So they'll spend most of their time in there during like early mornings and late afternoons, and then head back up into the bush or up the top of the mountain for a snooze during the night and come back down.
So they're mainly daytime creatures. They're not really nocturnal.
Yeah, no. I don't think they're too nocturnal.
Mm-hmm. And so when they bed down, are they typically bedding down at like sundown, or is it kind of a bit later on?
I'd say later on. On the properties that I hunt, a lot of the times they'll stay out in the open until after shooting light. So the main way that I wouldn't say the main way, but one of the most productive ways that I hunt them, they'll walk out into the paddocks from the edge of the tree line, straight across the paddock to the irrigation channel, fill up their guts with water and feed on back.
Yeah.
And it makes it pretty easy to sort of cut them off as they're coming back into the tree line. But a lot of the time they will wait out there until it's just too dark to shoot, and then you'll just have goats walking past you and no chance to stick an arrow in them.
And so, of a morning, are they doing the same thing? Are they kind of tracking down to get a gutful of water and then feed back as well?
In summer, yeah, they'll drink a couple of times a day, mostly out my way. Yeah.
And so, typically, of a morning, like they kind of wake up. In going back to the cooler months, are they trying to get the sun, like say for instance something like a deer will go to the sun facing mountain?
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
On the opposite side of the hill where the sun is, and sort of follow the sun around to keep warm.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And so if they don't have, say for instance, something like farmers' oats or corn or something like that to feed off of, what are they typically going for? Is there anything that you've kind of found that's I guess a native plant within Australia, or a plant within Australia that they're kind of trying to feed on?
Like you said, mate, they'll eat anything. I've even seen them at my place. They'll sort of circle around an ironbark and basically ring bark the ironbark and eat all the bark off it. They're insane creatures. I've seen them licking rocks and eating moss off rocks. It's anything they can get their mouth on, really. I wouldn't say I'm no plant specialist, so I can't really rattle off a heap of plants for you.
No, but it's all right. It's kind of like one of those things that occasionally you might see them kind of, I guess, and it's like you said, the lucerne, they're always going for that. So yeah, I guess it's just trying to find. It's like anything. Probably they're going to go for that green lot, really.
Yeah, exactly right. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a few things we've kind of touched on with the goats. Is there anything that we've probably missed? Like things that you would say you really need to look out for, or some learnings you had in particular with bow hunting and goats?
Keep your nose open for the smell, mate. Especially in the middle of summer, you got a decent wind. You can, if you pick up a whiff of the old billy, you can usually find them. You just follow your nose and usually onto them. Mm-hmm. Like we said before, we can get away with a lot more.
Yeah.
As opposed to a bit of noise, things like that. But yeah, they're bloody good practice. They're my bread and butter. I love them.
Yeah, that's unreal. And when it comes to bow, I guess with your bow setup and everything, are you kind of technical yourself, or you just send your bows away whenever you need help with them?
Oh mate, I don't think I've ever. I've half tuned it.
Yeah,
it hits where I want, but I'm no bow expert like Ian Summers or anything like that.
Yeah,
I've got a few mates that'll help me out with paper tuning and things like that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I just practice really. I'm no expert at anything.
I had a bow malfunction on the weekend and it almost ruined me. I was like, what am I going to do? Like, I literally don't know what to do, where to start. And I'm like, I'm going to have to take it back to the shop, or I'm going to have to take it back to Jake Gasparowski. I'm like, this is fucked. And then I actually found what the issue was. It was something that Jake had done with it in regards to the riser. And so when it shoots off, it just drops down due to the string going. And that string had popped just out of the riser. And so I managed to thread it back through and melt it down like he did with the lighter and put it back in place. And it was just like such a saving moment, because I was actually showing my bow to some rifle hunters. So we're all out at this party together. I'm like, oh, you should check out my bow. And they're shooting it. And it's shooting kind of like 5 meters short and bearing into the ground. I'm like, oh, what is going on? So I had a few shots of it and did the same thing. I'm like, they're going to think I'm a terrible shot. And then I realized what was happening. I'm like, oh, thank fuck. Because at first it's just like, I don't know what to do with this thing. Like, where do you start?
Go into panic mode.
Yeah, exactly. But I was lucky enough to fix it and be able to help them out, or fix it and then give it back to them and say, all right, go have a shot now. But I actually just went and had a few shots before we talked, and I didn't quite tune it back in place because I started moving my sight around before I did too much, and so I was actually shooting a little bit low. But that's all right. It's all fixed now.
Yeah, no worries.
All back on track.
Yeah, back out where I am, we don't have too many any archers or bow hunters, so there's not too many people. I'm sort of 4 hours west of Sydney. Mm-hmm. There's barely anyone around where I am that I can sort of call on to come and give me a hand. I got just basically Facebook and social media is a bloody hell of a thing.
Yeah.
You can fix anything with that.
Yeah, it's definitely been a saving grace, I guess. And realistically, it's kind of what's brought this whole podcast about for me is being able to reach out to people and talk to people and be able to have those conversations about bow hunting and talking in depth a little bit more. And I guess realistically, like the reason why I started is because I wanted to learn more myself, but also it helps so many other bow hunters. And the amount of outreach I've had from people listening to the show, coming back and saying, "Hey, I'm so stoked you're doing this. Like, thank you so much for that episode in particular," or whatever it is. That it's cool to see how many people are involved and how many people are actually really liking it. And the reach goes further than Australia, which is cool as well. Like, there's a fair few Americans I've been talking to as well. So
Yeah, right.
it's kind of bizarre how big the bow hunting community is, but how small it can be as well.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about bow hunting, but it seems to attract good people.
Yeah.
Everyone's really open with their information and always willing to give you a hand. I don't know anyone really that I've sent a message to and asking for a bit of education, and they've always come through with the goods. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
That's super cool, dude. Is there anything else that you want to touch on, man, before we call it wraps? Is there anything we missed out on? Any tips you want to give to new bow hunters?
Find someone to help you out.
Yeah.
Jump on Facebook, mate. Jump on Facebook. There's a lot of people on there. You got Ian Summers, Brad Murphy, Owen Stranell up north. They're all a wealth of knowledge, mate. So if you can find someone, any information you want, they're always willing to help.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's kind of like you look across the board and no matter what sort of fitness group it is, they've always got coaches. And even though you don't necessarily have to go and get a coach, like you could definitely take on someone like Brad Murphy who does your online coaching.
Exactly right, yeah.
I mean, even without a coach, you can learn a lot by asking the questions that you would potentially ask your own coach if you have one. So it really is a platform for us to be able to use and share as well. And once you find something out, I think also be willing to share it on. Like
exactly right.
It's once you find it out and it's a tip that kind of blows your mind, it's definitely worth sharing with someone else. Like I'm going to tell everyone about the goat right now. I had no idea.
Yeah, there's no point learning something if you're not going to teach someone the same thing, I think.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Oh, dude, thanks so much for coming on and talking snakes and goats with us, dude. That's really cool.
Yeah, no problem at all, mate. Anytime.
Last question about the emu. Did you actually run him down? Was he sick or did you?
No, he was healthy. I didn't realise that I was that close to him. I was about 40 metres from him, and he was sort of my side of a fence, just a regular farm fence, a little 4-foot thing, and I basically just ran at it. It sort of panicked, ran into the fence, fell over, and I jumped on it. Same as the kangaroo, yeah. Was it
a full-grown one?
No, it was almost full-grown.
Because aren't they pretty brutal with their kicks?
If you get in front of their feet, I suppose, but he didn't have the chance to kick me, thankfully. Either one.
Was it just tangled up in the fence, and then you just kind of jumped on the selfie with it?
He wasn't tangled. He basically ran into it and bounced back and into my arms. So I've just wrapped him up and got the phone out, took a few photos.
Yeah, and he wasn't trying to flap away or be too courageous with it.
At the start he did, but they're very strong. I just sort of tucked his legs up and bear hugged him until he sort of relaxed, and then got my phone out and took a few photos.
Oh, dude, that's hilarious. That's so good. Well, guys, I can't strongly recommend following Jono on Instagram. It is Jono or at Jono Luke. It is very entertaining to watch your stories. It's very entertaining to see your photos. I think they're super cool. Some of your experiences that you get to have they seem to be unreal, but it's obviously it doesn't come just with ease. It's from the amount of time and effort that you put into the bush, which is awesome. So with the kid on the way, how much do you think things are going to change for you?
Well, at the moment, the missus said, yeah, it's fine. She's agreed to let me have a trip to New Zealand at the end of the year. But I ended up buying her a car this morning, so I don't know how financially stable that'll be.
Yeah.
But she seems okay. Most of the hunting blocks that I've got, they're all within a half an hour drive from where I live. So
perfect.
A few afternoon hunts here and there should be fine.
Yeah, that's unreal, man. Awesome. Well, dude, thanks so much. Where else can people reach out? Just on Jono Luke, at Jono Luke? Yeah,
Jono Luke on Instagram or Facebook, Jono Roberts.
Yeah, perfect, dude.
Yeah.
Unreal.
They're the two main ones. Cheers, mate.
Yeah, thank you.